Another component you often want to enhance in a scene is contrast and details. Now, most tools do this with a traditional contrast slider, which lightens and darkens parts of the photo or increases the difference between the light and dark areas. And they use a tool like clarity, but these tools have a few drawbacks. Let me show you. I'm going to start with an image here, and let's go right into edit. What I'll do first is take advantage of that enhance tool you previously learned about. This is great at evening out the scene. Now, from the light tool, I'll use smart contrast. This can add contrast or subtract it. In this case, subtracting contrast was actually better. Look at how it opened up some of those details in the shadows. Now what I'm going to do is come down to the structure area. Structure can select detail in an image, and it selectively enhances the edge contrast. Notice there what a great job that does. If we look here at these areas, I'll zoom out just a little, pay attention to the reed mat here and the painting on the cup. No structure with structure. And you can increase the intensity of the effect without taking up the amount so high. So this is strengthening the effect, and you see how that really brings out the texture there in the mat. This is more effective than clarity because clarity affects all areas and can create problems where it actually adds negative information into things like skin tones or can create halos or glowing edges. Let's press the arrow key and look at another image. And in this case, the exposure is pretty good. I could refine that a little bit with Enhance. I always like to start with Accent AI. You'll notice when you open up the image, it has to first decode the raw. When that scanning blue is over, you'll see the actual raw data now loaded. Luminar is a parametric editor. What that means is that all the effects you apply are constantly live, so that it goes back and if you apply new things, it recalculates the value. This gives you flexibility in editing, and it keeps the raw data accessible throughout the entire editing process. A tool like Photoshop works with raw, but then hands the raw data off as pixels for the more advanced tools. Luminar keeps everything raw the entire time. Let's go ahead here and just balance out that exposure with Accent. That worked out nicely. And now with Structure, notice how we can bring out some of the details. And I love how it's making those shadows and some of the reflections underneath more dramatic. Additionally, there is the Details area. This gives you separate control over different amounts. Small detail is going to be the really fine things like those rivets. Medium details here is more aggressive with the edges. And large details is going after those flat surfaces. Now, I don't like too much large details, but a little bit of sharpening and stronger medium and small details really helps. Look at that before and after, and how the painting and the writing just comes to life. That's really quite useful. And if you need to, if there is noise, you can go in and adjust some of the details protection and enable a little bit of denoise on top of that to clean things up. If we look at that before and after, you just see an incredible improvement. It's not that the photo was out of focus. It was tack sharp, shot on a tripod, and perfectly adjusted with autofocus. It's that the sensor and the decode leaves a little bit to be desired. So sharpening that really goes a long way, and you get a better looking photo. But what I like about this and why Structure has an AI designation is that it's smart enough to recognize human faces and not sharpen those. So here we go. Let's jump in and we'll do the basic enhance. And now Structure. And as I increase Structure, notice how the background, her hair, is really popping. But what's not changing with Structure as we crank this up is the skin tone is not affected. Luminar is smart enough to recognize the human face and leave it alone. So as we are enhancing the hair in the background there and getting just great framing for her, we did not add extra texture or problems into the skin tone. In fact, and you're going to learn about this more later, Luminar can use that same face detection technology so we can do things like find the face and automatically brighten the teeth or add a little bit of redness back into the lips. You'll see those features later, but its ability to detect features such as faces and all of their elements gives it very fine control when it comes to adjusting. This allows tools like Structure AI to be very smart of where it adds detail, such as the background or in the hair or the clothing and fabric, and where it's not wanted in the face.